A rare total solar eclipse is just a couple hours away.
So exciting. Here's a look at the countdown clock. It starts at 10:39 this morning. The peak will be at 11:29. If you're heading outside to check this out, what's the best way to snap that perfect picture? And joining us to continue the conversation is ARC Seattle and KOMO photojournalist James Scott from the newly decorated ARC Lounge this morning. Hey, James.
Good morning, Steve and Tyra.
So nice to have you with us and see you on this end of the camera.
It's very bizarre.
Yeah, I bet. So in Seattle, just 20% of the sun will be covered by the moon, but for those still heading outside, what should they do to ensure they capture a pretty good shot of the eclipse?
Well, unfortunately, the cloud cover is going to make it pretty difficult, but with only 20% of exposure, or with coverage, that means 80% is exposed. So no matter what, you're going to have a lot of sun hitting you. So the hardest part that people have is realizing that you can use your phone, you can use a camera, and if you keep it wide, you're good. But the problem is, once you take a lens and you start zooming in with it, that's when you have the issues, because suddenly you are enhancing the light. It's like if you were to take just any kind of way to enhance the sun, it's going to burn things. If you take a magnifying glass and you put it on paper and you hold it for longer than a couple minutes, you'll start seeing smoke come in, it'll burn. Same thing will happen to your camera or your phone. So what they suggest is make sure you have your nice solar goggles. Use it to shield your lens and take pictures that way. But the other thing they say is do not look through your viewfinder, because then that'll hurt your eyes. And definitely do not look directly at the sun.
Oh, good warning there. All right. Okay, so after you have your shots, what about editing, James? Is there anything people should know about making adjustments to the photo?
Well, as far as editing goes, I try and keep it as raw as possible. I mean, no matter what, you can see a shot and take the shot, and you just get frustrated, like, why doesn't it look as pretty as it does what I'm looking at? And you can keep taking, okay, be happy with what you got. Then the nice thing is phones, laptops, everything has a very nice editing tool in it nowadays that you can enhance it. Just don't go crazy with it. Don't make pinks into bright purples or anything like that. Just enjoy what you had and don't go crazy with it. A little contrast, little touch-ups. Don't go crazy. Like, we have AI doing all kinds of stuff that they can do for you. Capture your moment and remember your moment. That's what I always say. Anytime I see I see the world in frames, and I just always hope that I have. Well, luckily I have my phone on me, but if I have got my good camera on me, then I have more opportunities because I will zoom in and all that. But it's just don't go crazy with editing. Just try and keep it as pure as possible.
No crazy filters.
Keep it simple. Yeah, you don't want like blue showing up as green or purple or that sort of thing. Like, be in the moment. We're also, we've been showing over the past few seconds there some of the photos that you've taken from your journeys outside, James. And this is obviously a great opportunity, since we have you on the air, to talk with you about capturing nature photos in general. We live in such a beautiful state, lots around us. What goes into snapping the perfect photo of things like plants or mountains, animals, Mount Rainier, that sort of thing?
Well, I always find the key is having patience and taking your time. You want to make sure that, if you are going to go explore the Northwest, I mean, there are so many groups you can join in that can tell you where to go, beautiful waterfalls, crystal lakes. There's so many beautiful opportunities out there. You just have to be willing to hike a little bit, and you don't have to take, a big backpack like I might with all my lenses and all that, because, there are plenty of ways I can take pictures, whether it be the GoPro. But, have a tripod most cases, especially if you're going to do a landscape. In most cases, you would want to use, say, your app for your camera. And in that case, you're not, because as soon as you push the button, you're going to move the camera. So try and use your app as much as you can, so you can frame your shot up, and you can usually even adjust it with your app even, and then take your picture. And the nicest thing with today's day and age with digital is, it's not about waiting for the film to develop. You can just snap away. I'll hold down take 10 pictures of the same thing real quick, and then try and decide which one's the best. And they all look the same, but maybe one has a bird flying through it, or one time I was shooting. I shoot the moon a lot. One time I had a full moon, and I didn't realize about a plane fly through it. And going back, like, oh, well, that made it even better. Yeah. So it's good to go back and look.
And we just saw one of your pictures of the moon. Super cool. Yeah. James, you're very talented, and I have to say, you look very, very nice today. Loving the vest.
And here's my mug of the week for you guys.
Nice.
Oh, I thought that was a camera
I did
lens.
too. I did too.
Cool.
Sneaky, James.
Awesome.
Sneaky.
Thanks again, James. Let's bring in Theron's on now. Theron, will the weather be a problem for people hoping to catch the eclipse?
Yes,
Yeah.
west of the Cascades for sure.
Yeah.
East of the mountains, you have a better chance of seeing some of that eclipse. On the west side, gray and rain. I was just out on the KOMO forecast deck. That's exactly what we have here, and you can see over my shoulder that Doppler radar is lighting up. A live view looking across Elliott Bay. We got a lot in between us and a nice eclipse to be viewed. Not only do we have lots of clouds, but we also only get 20% of eclipse. So, yeah, it's going to be less than you might have, especially back in 2017 when we had 90% here in Seattle. And even then, we didn't go dark. So the eclipse begins at 10:39 here in Seattle, peaks at 11:29, wraps up around 12:21. We do expect showers out there and gray skies. You're probably not going to see much of it. But if you do happen to catch a glimpse of it, make sure you have eclipse glasses or some other approved way to look. Looking at the sun, never a great idea to do directly, whether there's an eclipse or anything else. So just know that if we happen to get a break in the clouds, which we likely will not, you just want to be careful. And even if you just see it kind of going through the clouds, you want to protect your eyes for sure. So here's some tips. Head east of the mountains. They get a 34% eclipse there in Wenatchee and a better chance of finding some clearing, but still partly to mostly cloudy skies in parts of central Washington. Spokane, better chance of clearing. Might even see over there some Pac-Man shadows, because when you don't have a full solar eclipse, you'll have just sort of a chunk out of the sun, and that could create some of those unusual shadows. And again, wear the approved glasses. Don't take any chances. You don't want something to last a lifetime to end up lasting your lifetime. Yeah, once in a lifetime event, not doing permanent damage. You don't want that. So here's a look at the Doppler radar. You can see some of the showers that are outside right now. Of course, once you have showers, you generally have clouds, and here's more to come. So as the eclipse starts here in about 2 hours or so, we expect to find plenty of gray skies over a lot of western Washington. Futurecast, let me take you to around 11:30. You can see there's rain right over Seattle. And then we get a bit of a rain shadow later in the day. You can see that hole in the rain around Seattle up toward Everett. That's all because of the Olympics providing a bit of a rain shadow, but will not completely obscure the rain. Then we get slowly drying on through Tuesday. By the time we get to Tuesday evening, we're back to partly cloudy skies. But when it comes to eclipse time today, we expect gray skies and some showers out there. So you're not going to see much of it. But the best advice is, in case you do, if for some reason there's a miraculous clearing of the clouds where you are, do not stare at the sun.
Yeah, be sure to protect those eyes. It's really important. So what song will you be playing today as the eclipse passes up in the sky there?
Yeah, on the morning show I was talking a lot about Total Eclipse of the Heart, the one that's the obvious choice.
Yes.
Everybody's playing that one. But I think I'm going to go with that choice I also told you about, You're So Vain. Because I would like to fly my Learjet to Nova Scotia to see a total eclipse of the sun. Tyra's just staring at me.
She's like, what?
She's like, what in the world is he talking about?
I always plan to Google this type of
Carly
stuff
Simon.
so when we're done chatting, Theron.
Carly
Tyra, am I
Simon.
the #1 person that causes you to Google?
Yeah,
Okay,
probably.
I think so. I'm a relic.
Thank you, Theron.